You should feel a bit vulnerable.
Got the absent especially. This is all right.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, really? With a whole bunch of,
Yes. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way from the dining room where we had just enjoyed the first of the happy festive meals towards the drawing room and the fire around which my family had now assembled. I paused and then, as I often do in the course of an evening, went to the front door and opened it and stepped outside.
This is intended to be of interest, I take it.
Well, yes, of course.
Then why announce it as if it were the fat stock prices?
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Let us see this entry hall. Let us see this house. Let us taste and smell this happy festive meal.
But that's impossible.
No, sir. Draw upon your emotions and upon our imaginations.
No, forgive me, I am not an actor.
No. Again. Try it again.
Yes. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way from the dining room, where we had just enjoyed the first of the happy festive meals.
You will forgive me, sir. I know that what you read holds particular significance for you, that it is likely to cause you some distress. But I implore you, sir, have sympathy for your audience.
Sir?
Right now, we're alone in this theatre. These rows of empty seats are unlikely to protest as you hum and mumble through your lines. But believe me, sir, speak them thus before an audience and you're likely to see them one by one expire with boredom.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve as I crossed the long entrance hall of my house.
Long entrance hall.
That's right, yes.
Why long?
Well, because it is.
Have sympathy for your audience. Are they interested in its length?
Oh, I apologize. I'm clearly wasting your time.
Stay where you are.
No, this is a foolish adventure. I should never have come.
You have, however, and you've paid me for the day. I have no intention of not giving you full value.
But please,
No! Attempt to leave and I shall leap upon you and compel you to recite the sonnets in their entirety.
I couldn't...
No! I'll make a Gielgud of you yet.
I have no desire to be a Gielgud. All I wish, all I implore, is that this tale of mine be told and laid to rest, God willing, so that I may sleep without nightmares.
Which is why you came to me.
Yes.
As one practiced in these things.
Yes.
As one who can impart to you the rudiments of public speaking, who can offer advice as to expression and delivery, and above all instill in you the confidence to stand up and make a go of it.
Confidence?
Yes, confidence! Now then, 9:30, Christmas Eve. Excitement, yes, anticipation. Crisp air, crackling fires, children asleep with stockings by their bedposts, a happy family, delighted, content, and above all, at peace.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve, and I crossed the long entrance hall of my house on my way... Oh, sorry. I'll stop you. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve.
What time was it?
9:30.
Not on Christmas Eve, by any chance.
Oh, look, I'm terribly sorry. This is a waste of
You
time.
see, it doesn't come in 5 minutes. You think to stand there, recite your tale, and have your audience hang on your every word, as if that's all it takes. In which case, why did you come to me for help? So that I would say, yes, wonderful, without a flaw. Believe me, sir, performing is an art acquired with tears and time. I would appreciate it if if every time I offered you some advice, you would not put up your manuscript and make to stalk out of the theatre.
Advice?
Yes, advice.
It sounds more like reproval.
Believe me, sir, as the day goes on, it's likely to sound more so.
May I just say, look, this is not a performance that I wish to give. No, I think we are at a misunderstanding in that respect. I wish to speak it, no more. For my family, for those who need to know. Oh, sir, I am not a performer. I have no pretension to be, no inclination, but these terrible things that happen to me, I have to let them be told. For my health and reason.
You say you're not a performer.
Oh, truly.
In your hand is a script which, on estimate, will take 5 hours to read. If you, as an acknowledged non-performer, were to stand before an audience, however friendly, and drone on at them for longer than it takes to play King Lear, I trust you will be unsurprised if by the end of it they're either fast asleep or at your throat.
5 hours?
At least.
Good heavens, I had no idea at all. 5 hours? Oh, I cannot possibly. And yet, it must be told. Look, I cannot carry this burden any longer. It must be told. Please.
It was 9:30 on Christmas Eve. As I opened my front door and stepped outside, I smelled at once, and with a lightning heart, that there had been a change in the weather. All the previous season, we'd had thin rain and a mist that lay low about the house and over the countryside. For many years, my spirits have been affected excessively by the weather. But now, the dampness and fog had stolen away like thieves in the night, and the sky was pricked over with stars, and the full moon rimmed with a halo of frost. Upstairs, children slept with stockings by their bedposts. There was something in the air that night. That my peace of mind was about to be disturbed, and memories awakened that I thought forever dead, I had naturally no idea. I took a long last look at the frosty darkness, sighed contentedly, and went in to the happy company of my family. At the far end of the room stood a tree, candlelit and bedecked, and beneath it were the presents. And in the center of the room, a pyramid of fruit, and a bowl of oranges stuck all about with cloves, their spicy scent filling the air, mixing with the wood smoke to be the very aroma of Christmas. I became aware that I had interrupted some lively conversation. We're telling ghost stories, just the thing for Christmas Eve. And so they were, vying with each other to tell the horridest, most spine-chilling tales. They told of dripping stone walls in uninhabited castles, of ivy-clad monastery ruins by moonlight, of locked inner rooms and secret dungeons, of howlings and shriekings and moanings and scuttlings. This was a sport. A high-spirited game amongst young people. There was nothing here to offend me, nothing which I could possibly disapprove. I turned my head away so that none of them would see my discomfiture. And now it's your turn. No, nothing from me. But you must know one ghost story. Everyone knows one. Ah, yes. Yes, indeed. All this time they had been telling their horrible, lurid inventions. The one thought that had been in my mind, the only thing that I could have said was, no, none of you have any idea. It is nothing like this. Nothing so blood-curdling and decrepit and crude. Nothing so laughable. The truth is quite other. And altogether more terrible. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have no story to tell. And I went from the room and from the house. I walked in a frenzy of agitation, my heart pounding, my breathing short. I had always known that the experience would never leave me, that it was woven into my very fibers. Yes, I had a story to tell. A true story. A story of haunting and evil, fear and confusion, horror and tragedy. But it was not a story to be told around the fireside on Christmas Eve. Then I thought you might recite that piece from Hamlet.
Hamlet?
Yes. Some say that ever against the season come, yes?
Oh, yes, yes, of course. So you then, for the purposes of the reading, become me.
Quite so. And you, for the purposes of the performance, you draw upon your remembrance to play the people that you met, those that played their parts in your story.
I am not a performer.
Sir, I know.
And this must not be entertainment. No, those dreadful things that happened to me will not be treated as amusement or diversion, I insist, sir.
And I insist, sir, that you consider your audience. If your tale is to be heard, it must be told in a form that is remotely palatable. You have come to me for advice and assistance. You must trust me. So, from here, if you please.
Yes.
And let us show we mean business. All right. So your cue is fear. Fear and confusion, horror and tragedy. But it was not a tale to be told around the fireside on Christmas Eve.
Some say that ever against that season comes, wherein our Saviour's birth is celebrated, this bird of dawning singeth all night long. And then they say, no spirit is store abroad, the nights are wholesome, then no planet strike, no fairy takes, nor witch hath power to charm. So hallowed and so gracious is that time.
Those words came into my head as if from heaven, and a great peace came upon me. I remembered that the way to banish an old ghost who continues its hauntings is to exorcise it. Well then, mine should be exercised. I should write my tale. I should set it down on paper, with every care and every detail. I would write my own ghost story, that my family might know and that I might be forever purged of it. I would relive it through the telling. I prayed a heartfelt, simple prayer for peace of mind and steadfastness and strength to endure while I completed the most agonizing task. The first part, the writing, I have done. Now comes the telling. I pray God's protection on us all. Good morning.
Ah, good morning.
I trust you slept well?
Oh, yes, yes, thank you.
No nightmares?
Not too bad, thank you.
Oh, so we're not free of them yet.
Oh, I fear I never will be.
Don't worry, we'll have you playful as a lamb again, mark my words. Did you study as I asked?
Oh, well, yes, as best I can. You must forgive me, this is not my forte.
We'll make a Gielgud of you yet.
No, I have no desire to be a Gielgud.
Yes, but for the sake of our audience, let us at least try.
This audience you speak of, it is to be just my family and friends. You don't intend to make a public spectacle?
Good heavens, no. Family, friends. Perhaps the odd theatre manager.
You what?
Now then, scene. London. Interior of the solicitors. Bentley, Hague, Sweetman, and
yes,
Bentley.
yes. Yes.
Oh, and I have a surprise for you.
Oh, what's that?
Thank you, Mr. Bunce.
Ah! Recorded sound.
Precisely. Remarkable invention, isn't it?
Oh, it's remarkably true to life. I mean, I could swear that I was in a London street attempting to negotiate the thundering traffic.
And so, Mr. Kipps, will our audience. No need to speak of cars and trams, horses and smoke and grime. No need, in fact, for words. Just let the recorded sound play, and there they are,
Yes,
transported.
but the scene is to be in an office, is it not? So why do we have London's traffic flowing through an office?
Why indeed, Mr. Buns?
Wonderful.
Yes. The miracle of science in the hands of Mr. Buns. He is particularly good at this sort of thing. And so to work. I am you are your clerk.
You
I
must
am
forgive me.
principally-
This is not my forte.
Oh, and it's unlikely to come so unless you attempt it. So begin, just as we rehearsed last night. Yes. I thank you. Foul day, Holmes.
Yes, Mr. Kipps.
November's the dreariest of months.
Yes.
Lowering to the spirits.
Mr. Kipps. This fog, don't you?
The thickest of London pea supers. A yellow fog, a filthy, evil-smelling fog. A fog that choked and blinded, smeared and stained. I worked at some dull details of the conveyancing of property leases, unaware of it, pressing against the window like a third beast at my back.
Mr. Bentley wishes to see you, sir.
Straight away.
Oh, yes, straight away, sir, if you would.
That sniff, by the way, occurred every 20 seconds or so, for which Holmes was confined in general to a cubbyhole in the outer lobby.
What now?
Well, now you become Bentley.
Oh, yes, of course. Will it serve? I mean, what I...
Oh, yes, wonderful. We'll make a Gielgud of you, yeah?
Oh, please be quiet about your good.
Apologies. Shall we carry on?
Yes, yes. Yes. Sit you down, Arthur, sit you down.
Wait a minute.
What?
Yes, try these. Yes, that's done. Sit you down.
Sit you down.
Yeah.
Sit you down, Arthur, sit you down. I don't think I ever told you about the extraordinary Mrs. Drablow. Mrs. Alice Drablow of Eel Marsh House. Dead, don't you know?
Ah.
Yes. I inherited Mrs. Drablow from my father. Family have had their business with this farm for
Oh, yes.
a good age, 87.
And that's her will you have there, I take it.
Yes, Mrs. Drablow was, as they say, a rumman. Have you ever heard of the Nine Lives Causeway?
No, sir.
Lord Ever of Eel Marsh in...
No, sir.
Lord ever visited that county at all?
I'm afraid not.
Living there, anyone might become rum.
I have only a hazy idea of where it is.
Then, my boy, go home, pack your bags, and catch the afternoon train from King's Cross, changing at Crewe and again at Homerby. And from there you catch the branch line to the little market town of Crithin Gifford. After that, it's a wait for the tide.
The tide?
Yes, you can only cross the causeway when the tide is out, and that takes you on to Eel Marsh and the house.
Mrs. Drablow?
Yes, and when the tide comes in, you're cut off until it goes out again. Remarkable place. Years since I went there, of course. My father took me. She didn't greatly care for visitors.
Was she a widow?
Since quite early in her marriage.
And any children?
Children? Well, according to everything we've been told about Mrs. Drablow, no, there were no children.
Was there a great deal of money or land?
Well, she owned her house, of course, and a few properties in Crithin Gifford, shops with tenants, that sort of thing, and it's a poor sort of farm, half underwater most of the time, and the usual small trusts and investments.
Well, it all sounds pretty straightforward.
It does it not?
And may I ask why I am to go there?
To represent this firm at our client's funeral.
Yes, of course. I'll be more than happy to go to Mrs. Drabblow's funeral, naturally.
There's a bit more to it than that.
The will?
Yes, I'll let you have the details to read on your journey, but principally, you're to go through Mrs. Drablow's documents, her private papers, whatever they may be, and wherever they may be, and bring them back to this office.
I see.
Now, Mrs. Drablow was Somewhat disorganized, it may take you quite a while.
A day or two.
Oh, at least a day or two, Arthur.
Will there be anyone to help me?
Ah, yes, well, I've made arrangements. There's a local fellow dealing with it all, and he'll be in touch.
Well, presumably she had friends, or even neighbours.
Eelmarsh House is far from any neighbours.
And I suppose being a rumman, she never made any friends.
Oh, come, Arthur, look on the bright side. Treat the whole thing as a jaunt. Look, at least it will take you out of all this for a day or two. Now, you will reach Griffin Gifford by late this evening. There's a small hotel you can put up for the night, and the funeral is tomorrow morning at 11. Oh.
I had to inform my landlady that I would be away for a couple of nights, and scribble a note to my fiancée Stella, to whom I hope to be married the following year. After that, I was to catch the afternoon train to a remote corner of England, of which, until a few moments ago, I had barely heard.
The Treblow papers, sir?
Oh, thank you, Thomas. You know, Tom, I must say that for all it's a strange part of England I'm going to, it's a relief to be leaving this appalling fog and unhealthy weather. And you're still unsure as to whether to go through with it?
Oh, certainly.
Despite having performed as you've just done.
Yes, but there are so many things that we cannot represent. I mean, how do we represent the dog, the sea, the causeway, how the pony and trap?
With imagination, Mr. Kipshouse, and our audiences.
I would be obliged if you would inform me how imagination is going to represent a pony and trap upon the stage.
Here, pony. Here, trap. What could be clearer?
It doesn't instantly say pony and trap to me.
Yes, but you ride it, don't you? And with a whip and the recorded sound of the pony's hooves, I promise you, nothing in the world could say it clearer.
Except a pony and trap.
Does not be finicky, Mr. Kipps.
Well, I have to admit that the recorded sound is absolutely splendid.
Yes, and there will be more, much more. Tomorrow, we are on the train. With more surprises. But now to work. You will study these. You will see I have split the lines up again, and I have cut much of the descriptive passages.
Oh, but they don't.
Recorded sound, Mr. Kipps. Recorded sound.
Oh, yes. Nothing could raise his spirits more than the sight of that great cavern of a railway station, glowing like the interior of a blacksmith's forge. Beyond the windows, it is quickly dark. And when the carriage blinds are drawn, all is as cozy and enclosed as some lamplit study. At Crewe, he changes with ease.
This is Crewe Station. Passengers for Homberby, please change here.
And he continues on his way, noting that the track begins to veer towards the east as well as continuing north. It is only when he comes to change again onto the branch line at the small station of Homberby that he begins to be a lot less comfortable. because here the air is a great deal colder and blowing in gusts from the east with an unpleasant rain upon its breath. And the train in which he is to travel the last hour of his journey is ancient and comfortless.
Poor night. Seems I have exchanged one kind of poor weather for another. I left London in the grip of an appalling fog, but out here it seems cold enough for snow.
It'll not snow. Wind will blow itself out and take rain off with it by morning.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear it.
But if you think that you've escaped the worst of the fog by coming up here, you've got another thing coming. We get bad frets in this part of the world.
Frets?
Aye, frets. Sea frets. Sea mists. They blow up in a minute from sea to land across the marshes. 1 minute, clear as a June day, and the next, terrible. Ah, but if you're staying in Crithen, you'll escape worse.
Oh, well, I stay there tonight at the Gifford Arms, but I do expect to see something of the marshes later.
Mrs. Drablow. Drablow. You don't tell me you're a relative.
No. I am her solicitor.
Ah, bound for the funeral.
I am.
You'll be about the only one that is.
I take it she was something of a recluse. That is sometimes the way with older ladies. They turn inward, grow eccentric. It must come from living alone.
I dare say it does, Mr.
Kipps. Arthur Kipps.
Samuel Daly. And when you live alone in a place such as that, it comes a great deal easier.
Oh, come. You're not going to start telling me strange tales of lonely houses, are you?
No, I am not.
Well, it's a sad thing when someone can live to be 87 and can't count on a few friendly faces to gather together at the funeral. How far have we to go?
12 mile. Oh, it's a far-flung part of the world, is Crithen Gifford. We don't get many visitors.
Well, it's probably because there's nothing much to see.
Well, that all depends upon what you mean by nothing. But you'll find Crithen hospitable enough for all it's a plain little place. We took ourselves in with our backs to the wind and we just get along with our business. Should you need anyone?
No, well, thank you. I doubt I shall. Whatever practical help I need, I'm sure the local agent can provide, and I don't plan to be here very long. But thanks all the same.
Yeah. Hello.
The Gifford Arms was about as comfortable a hotel as I could hope to find. I began to feel more like a man on holiday than one who had come to attend a funeral. My dearest Stella.
Ah! Are you a friend of Mr. Daly's and son?
No.
Ah, not meaning to pry, of course, sir, but I saw you arrive in his car.
Well, we met on the train. He was kind enough to give me a lift from the station.
Oh, I see, yeah. Oh, he's a large landowner, is Mr. Daly, buying up half the county.
Well, in that case, I may be doing business with him myself before the year is out. I am a solicitor looking after the affairs of Mrs. Alice Drablow of Eelmarsh House. Perhaps you knew of her.
And you... of her?
It's entirely possible that her estate will come up for sale in due course.
Oh, I doubt whether even Mr. Samuel Daly would go that far, sir.
I don't think I quite understand you. I thought there was a farm a few miles out of town.
Ah, Hoggets! 50 acre and half it under flood for the best part of the year. Oh, it is nothing.
Yes, but what about the Nottage house and the land surrounding? Might not they be practicable for farming?
No, sir.
Well, might not Mr. Daly simply want to add a little bit more to his empire? You imply he's that kind of man.
Well, maybe he is, sir, maybe he is, but let me tell you, you won't find anybody, not even Mr. Sam Daly, having to do with any of it. Yes, well, I'll wish you good night, sir. We can provide breakfast at any time of the morning, sir, to your convenience.
There seems to be a propensity for leaving conversations to hang on the air whenever Mrs. Drabblow's name is mentioned. People close up, change the subject, or leave the room. I suppose it's inevitable. These small, out-of-the-way communities have only themselves to look to for whatever drama and mystery they can extract out of life. And I would think it not unfair to say that country people, particularly those who inhabit the remoter corners of our island, are rather more superstitious, more gullible, more slow-witted perhaps, certainly more unsophisticated than those of us who encounter the metropolitan experience every day. Doubtless, in such a place as this, with its eerie marshes, sudden fogs, moaning winds and lonely houses, any poor old woman might be looked at askance. Once upon a time, after all, she would have been branded as a witch.
Admit it, Mr. Kipps. You're secretly enjoying this.
Oh, I'm very grateful to you for your assistance, but no, I cannot say that I'm enjoying it.
Mr. Kipps, every day you have come here, you have grown in stature and in confidence.
Yes, but this is merely practice, what you call rehearsal. Oh, I fear it will be a great deal different when we do it in front of an audience.
Mr. Kipps, sir, for all you denied, you damn well will be a guild.
Oh, please be
Now,
quiet.
tomorrow, I wish to work right through until the end.
In what?
If we're able, how does that seem?
Well, I have an absolute horror of it. Watching you, it is as if I relive it all, moment by moment. Although you, of course, will never suffer as I did. I must always tell myself that.
Yes, but don't think I don't feel for you. I have a child myself.
You have.
Yes, she's 4.
And well, and happy.
Yes, I thank Providence.
Love her. Take care of her. Well, yes, tomorrow, yes, let us work right through in one, and all being well, tomorrow I may have a surprise for you.
You have a theatrical's instincts, Mr. Kipps. If not the enthusiasm. Till tomorrow, then.
Yes. Mr. Kipps.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Jerome, your agent here.
Ah, yes, of course. How do you do?
I trust you spent a comfortable night.
I can't remember when I slept so well.
Oh, good, good. It's a sad business that brings you here.
Yes, of course. I never met Mrs. Drablow, of course.
No,
But
of course. No. I don't wish to hurry you, Mr. Kipps, but if we were to set out about now, we'd be about right for time.
ah, yes, of course. Well, I must say, Mr. Jerome, that my first impressions of your little town are entirely favourable.
Oh, it's a busy day for us market today. They come from all over.
Though our funeral garb seems at odds with the prevailing mood of the place. Is that my imagination, Mr. Jerome, or are we the subject of scrutiny? There, those men, did you see? They turned their heads away when they caught my eye. And there!
It's just a short walk to the graveyard, Mr. Kipps.
I feel like some sort of pariah. Oh, well, Mr. Jerome, I suppose we must look like a pair of gloomy ravens, eh? You and I, Mr. Jerome, are the spectres at the feast. Is she to be buried in the graveyard?
No, at least not in this graveyard.
Somewhere else?
Yes, somewhere else. The area is no longer suitable here.
Mr. Jerome, I'm not quite sure I understand you.
Yes, it's
I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my sin worms destroy its body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? But thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labour is not in vain in the Lord. Man that is born of woman hath but a short time to live, and is full of misery. He cometh up and is cut down like a flower. He fleeth as it were a shadow, and never continueth in one stay. In the midst of life we are in death. Of whom may we seek for succour, but of thee, O Lord, who for our sins art justly displeased? For as much as it hath pleased Almighty God of his great mercy to take unto himself the soul of our dear sister here departed, we therefore commit her body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Very poignant ceremony. Tell me, that woman, who was she? Hope she can find her way home. Poor thing. That young woman with the wasted face? She was behind you in the church, and then a few yards from us here in the graveyard.
a young woman?
Yes, skin stretched over her face. I could scarcely bear to look at her. She wore a bonnet-type hat, probably to conceal her face, poor thing. Is anything the matter? You look unwell.
I did not see a young woman.
Oh, but surely, Mr. Jerome, oh, look, there she is again. Oh, Mr. Jerome, would you take my arm? I'd be obliged if you would loosen your grip a little, Mr. Jerome. We could go back to the church. We can find a bench, somewhere to sit. You could recover. I'll call for help. I can't.
No!
My dear man! My dear man!
Yeah. Oh, I was dreadfully sorry. It was nothing, a passing faintness, nothing more. It would be best if you would walk me back to my offices in Penn Street, just off the square.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm quite sure.
You quite worried me just now. I thought perhaps you were...
Please, it was nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing.
Very well. I take it you're to take me to Eelmarsh House later.
No, I shall not take you there. You can cross any time after 1 o'clock. Keckwick will come for you. He has always been the go-between to that place. You will find Mr. Keckwick perfectly obliging.
Good.
Though not very communicative.
Well, I'm getting used to that. I'm sorry, Mr. Kiss, but I have to stop. You said you had a surprise for me, but that was... I would have never guessed.
What?
That was the most remarkable coup de théâtre that I have ever experienced.
Oh, really?
Really? I'm devastated.
Oh, okay.
Devastated. How on earth did you manage it?
Oh, well, I studied hard, I suppose. Like you said, time and tears.
But from nowhere, Mr. Kiss, from nowhere. How on earth did you set about
I
it?
just...
Oh, no. No. I understand. One must appreciate the magic, yes? One must not ask how the magic works. But I do appreciate it, sir. I most assuredly do.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
And you, sir, are a true theatrical...
Oh, please, no.
Do we continue?
Yes, if you will, yes.
And will there be more surprises?
Oh, well, I will do my best, of course, but I cannot make any promises. Whoa! Mr. Kipps.
Yes? Oh, you're not, Keckwick, by any chance. Well, that's delightful. I was expecting a car. Well, this is a remarkable corner of the world, Mr. Keckwick. Sky, and only a strip of land. This must have been how those great landscape painters saw Holland or that area around Norwich, don't you think? Yes, I can imagine how magnificently that sky would look with grey scudding rain and storm clouds lowering over the estuary. Yes, it really is quite startlingly beautiful. The wide, bare openness of it. I would have come 1,000 miles to see a place like this. I'd never have imagined it. And that, I take it, is the Nine Lives Causeway. Up ahead, the water gleamed like metal lying only shallowly over the sand. The narrow path stretched forward, and I could see how when the tide came in, it would be completely submerged and untraceable. And then I looked up ahead and saw, as if rising out of the water itself, a tall house made of grey stone with a slate roof. It looked like a lighthouse or a beacon or martello tower, the most astonishingly situated house I'd ever seen or could ever conceivably imagine. Isolated, uncompromising, but also, I thought, handsome. Well, I just looked about me in amazement. I felt this strange sensation of excitement mingled with alarm, but I was not afraid. Of what could I be afraid in this rare and beautiful spot? Huh? The wind? The marsh birds crying? The reeds in the still water?
Oh.
How long will the causeway remain passable?
Till 5.
Listen, it's quite ridiculous for you to be coming to and fro twice a day. The best thing would be for me to bring my bags and some food and drink and stay a couple of nights here. That way I shall deal with my business a great deal more efficiently, and you shall not be troubled. I'll return with you this afternoon, and then tomorrow, perhaps you could bring me back as early as possible, according to the tides. Or, if you prefer, you could wait for me now, although I shall be a couple of hours. You know what's best for you.
And so, imagine, if you will, this stage an island, and that isle a causeway, running like a ribbon from the salt marsh through the sea, the only link between the gaunt grey house and the land. Imagine Arthur Kipps, alone there now, a tiny figure, lost in the immensity of marsh and sky, dwarfed by the house, alone, amidst a mysterious, shimmering beauty. He feels the key in his pocket, but he does not go inside. Instead, he walks away from the house, towards the fragmentary ruins of some old church or chapel. To the west, on his right hand, the sun is already beginning to dip down in a great, wintry, golden red orb. And to the east, sea and sky have darkened somewhat into a uniform leaden grey. Imagine now a burial ground. Imagine 50 gravestones, most of them leaning or completely fallen, covered in lichens and mosses, scoured pale by the salt wind and darkened by years of driving rain. Names and dates, barely decipherable. Imagine him grown conscious of the cold, and of the emptiness and dreariness of the place. Decide to leave, to go back to the house, to light a fire, to turn on a good many lights. And now see him turn and...
Beyond the wall, the grass gave way to shallow land and water, and it reached out to meet the rising tide. I could see for miles. And there was no sign at all of that woman in black, or any place in which she could have concealed herself. I did not believe in ghosts.
By the time he reaches the house, he is in a lather of sweat from his exertions and the extremes of his emotions. And for a long time, he does not move from the dark, wood-panelled hall. He wants company, but he has none. He wants lights. He needs reassurance, but above all, he needs an explanation. For he does not believe in ghosts.
But on the marshes just now, I saw a woman whose form was quite substantial, yet, oh God, her face. I cannot describe it. A mixture of the desperate, yearning malevolence, and it filled me with an indescribable loathing and fear. And she disappeared in a way that no living human being could possibly manage to do. I did not believe in ghosts.
What other explanation is there?
Away. Staircase. Kitchen. Scullery. Drawing room. Sitting room. Dining room. Study.
Nothing unusual or frightening. No shades of Miss Havisham. No rubbish piled in corners. No half-starved dogs and cats. Oh, a damp, musty, sweet, sour smell there is, to be sure, but is that remarkable in a house located as is this one? Furniture, good, solid, dark, and old-fashioned. books, pictures, bureaus. Bureaus! Desks, writing tables, bureaus, and papers. Papers in boxes, papers in bundles, letters, receipts, legal documents, notebooks, papers. All of which he must examine. A huge task, and one which there was little point in starting now. It is too late, and he is too unknown.
How one old woman that lived here night after night, I cannot conceive. I would have gone mad.
He decides to leave the place till the following morning. Now, Keckwick will not be due back for an hour, but if he steps out now and walks sharply, he can be back in Crithengiffen in time to save Keckwick from setting forth. I mean, the causeway is still uncovered, and the roads back are straight, so he cannot possibly lose. And he is too unknown.
How one old woman that lived here night after night, I cannot conceive. I would have gone mad.
He decides to leave the place till the following morning. Now, Keckwick will not be due back for an hour, but if he steps out now and walks sharply, he can be back in Crithengiffen in time to save Keckwick from setting forth. I mean, the causeway is still uncovered, and the roads back are straight, so he cannot possibly lose himself. Imagine him now, striding ahead, small and insignificant in that vast landscape. And as he walks, he summons up an image of that black-robed figure and persuades himself that she had not vanished as he had thought, but that there must have been some dip or slope into which she had concealed herself. For he does not believe in ghosts. He puts her from his mind and walks on, struck by the absolute indifference of water and sky to his presence. And then, from his reverie, he becomes aware that he cannot see for more than a few steps in front of him, and that behind him, Yilmah's house is quite invisible.
A sea mist. Damp, clinging, cobwebby, fine, and impenetrable. The sea fret that Mr. Daly talked of.
He must turn and retrace his steps to the house and wait until Keckwick comes back.
The mist was salty and damp and moved in front of my eyes all the time. I felt confused by it, teased by it, like it was a million live fingers that were clawing on me and clinging to me and then shifting away again.
Step by slow step he goes, baffled by the moving, shifting mist, praying to reach the house. A nightmare walk until...
Keckwick. No! Oh, no! No! Keckwick! Keckwick!
In despair and fearfulness, he goes about the house, switching on every lighting to make work, in the vain hope that their glow might be seen across the misty wasteland.
Every room is open, every room orderly, dusty, bitterly cold, and yet also somehow stifling.
One door is locked.
There's no keyhole, no bolt on the outside!
You have to wait for a fret like that to clear itself. No crossing over when a fret's up. Unlucky for you that were. And then You have to wait for the tide. Awkward place. But you'll be finding that out soon enough.
What time is it?
Nigh on 2.
I'm very grateful for you coming back for me. I would not have expected it.
Oh. I wouldn't have left you here over the night. I wouldn't have done that to you.
How did you manage to be here? How did you get out? I fell into a sort of trance, half sleeping, half waking, rocked by the motion of the cart. I knew that I had entered into some hitherto unimagined realm of consciousness, and there was no going back. That the woman by the graves had been ghostly, I now not knew. No, I did know it. I knew it. Ponian trap. The sound of that Ponian trap with the child who had cried so terribly, that had been sucked into the quicksand, that they too had not been real, present, not there. Ghostly also. And what I had heard as clearly as I now heard the motion of the cart and the drumming of the pony's hooves, and what I had seen. That woman with the wasted face by the graves of Mrs. Drablow, and then again at the old burial ground I had seen. I would swear an oath on it. Yet they had been, in some way that I did not understand, unreal, ghostly, things that were dead. Mr. Jerome.
Oh, yes. Yeah, won't you come?
I trust you are fully recovered from your experience at Mrs. Drablow's funeral.
Yes, thank you, yes.
I suppose you're wondering why I'm here. You see, I had no idea, I don't know whether you had, of the number of papers belonging to Mrs. Drablow. Tons of the stuff. And I'm sure most of it's so much waste, but it will have to be gone through item by item nevertheless. So unless I am able to take up residence in Crith and Gifford for the foreseeable future, I shall have to have some help.
I cannot offer you any help, Mr. Kit. Oh, no.
Well, I wasn't thinking of you personally, Mr. Jerome, but perhaps you have a young assistant.
No, there is no one. I am quite on my own. I'm sorry, I cannot offer you any help at all.
Well, help me find someone. Surely the town can yield me a young person with a modicum of intelligence and keen to earn a few pounds, whom I may take on for the job.
There is no one. This is a small place. Young people leave. There are no openings.
I am offering an opening, albeit temporary.
You will find nobody suitable.
What you mean, Mr. Jerome, is not that I will find no one available, that no young person or older person, for that matter, could be found. You are backing away from the truth of the matter, sir, which is I should not find another soul willing to spend any time at Eel Marsh House for fear of the stories of that place proving true, for fear of encountering what I have already encountered.
Kickwick came back for you.
Yes, I was more grateful than I can say.
There is nothing that Kickwick doesn't know about that place.
Do I take it he fetched and carried from Mrs. Randall?
She saw nobody else. Not
another living soul?
You saw that woman in the graveyard?
Yes. I saw her again in the old burial ground. Well, I will not be put out by a ghost, or several ghosts, Mr. Jerome. My work here must be done. And I doubt that the woman in black could have any animosity toward me. I wonder who she was. Is. I scarcely know how to refer to her. But I must face it out, Mr. Jerome. Such things one must face.
That's so I said. Once.
So I said once.
Mr. Kingston, is everything all right?
Yes, yes, yes.
But, are you sure? I mean, your portrayal of Jerome was very convincing.
Yes.
But,
Look, but Jerome was terrified.
yes, but you yourself, you seem to be in a state of emotion.
Well, I am. I was. My emotions have become so volatile and so extreme that I seem to be living in another dimension. My heart seemed to beat faster, my steps to be quicker. Everything I saw was brighter, its outline more sharply and precisely defined.
Can you go on?
Oh, yes, yes.
Can you go on until the end?
Yes, yes. Yes, I must. Oh, let us go on. Let us have done with it, for God's sake.
Oh, Mr. Daly!
Mr. Gibbs, how's things with you?
Very well, I thank you.
Your business?
Oh, Mrs. Drabblow's estate. Well, I shall soon have all that in order. Though I must confess, there was a lot more than I had anticipated.
You've been out there?
Yes.
To the house?
Yes. I'm quite enjoying myself, to tell you the truth, and I'm finding the whole thing rather a challenge.
Mr. Gibbs, you are whistling in the dark. You'll be a fool if you go on with it.
If you mean I should give up the job I've been...
No, you listen to me.
Tenant,
No, listen to me, Arthur. I'm not going to fill you up with a whole lot of old wives' tales. You can find them out for yourself if you asked about the place. Maybe you already have.
No, only hints, and Mr. Jerome turning a little pale.
But you went out there, to the house.
I went out there and I had an experience that I shouldn't care to go through again, though I can't explain it. It seems, Mr. Daly, that I have seen whatever ghosts haunt Eelmarsh House. A woman in black, with a wasted face. Well, she neither spoke to me nor came near me. I didn't like the look of her, and I liked the power that seemed to emanate from her even less. But I am convinced it is a power that can do me no more harm than make me feel afraid. If I go there again, I am prepared.
And the pony? And trap?
So you know about that. I won't run away.
You shouldn't go there.
I'm afraid I'm going.
You shouldn't go there alone.
Well, it seems I can find no one to go with me.
No, and you will not.
Good God, man! Mrs. Drablow must have lived there for what, 60-odd years? To a ripe old age. She must have come to terms with whatever ghosts haunt the place.
Aye. Maybe that's just what she did do. But you're set on it.
I am.
And take a dog.
I haven't got a dog.
I have. Hang on. Come on. Here. Take her. But bring her back when you're done with her.
Will she come with me?
She'll do what I tell her.
What's her name?
Spider.
Well, I'll be grateful for the company, I confess. Thank you, Mr. Daly. Come on, Spider. Hey, come on.
And the next morning he crosses to the house on a bicycle lent him by his landlord. The little dog Spider bounds behind. The sun is high, and the very air seems purified and more exhilarating.
There they lay. Those glittering, silver, beckoning marshes. I could hear the mysterious silence. And once again it aroused a response deep within me. I could not run away from that place. I had fallen under some sort of spell of the kind that certain places exude, and it drew me, my longing, my imagining, my curiosity towards itself.
He lights fires, airs sheets and blankets, opens windows, draws blinds, and sets himself to work in one of the bays of the morning room.
Well, Spider, have you ever seen a more worthless collection of papers? I do believe that Mrs. Drablow kept every bill, receipt, and shopping list she ever had. Look, there's even Christmas cards, would you believe?
It is pretty tedious going, but he perseveres patiently enough, untying and cursorily examining bundle after bundle of worthless old papers before tossing them aside.
Come on, Spider, see that rabbit, say? Last time I was here amongst these graves, Spider, there was a woman. Where's she now, eh? Where is she go? Loving memory. Something net Humphrey. 1900 something. Something ill Drablow. Come on, Spider, come on!
He returns to the house and to his task. Already the air is turning colder and the sky losing its light. On into the evening he works. And Spider is an excellent companion. He is glad of her gentle breathing, her occasional scratching, and her clattering about in that big empty house. But his main sensation is one of tedium and a certain lethargy, and a desire to be back in London, having finished his job as quickly as possible. Back in London with his beloved Stella.
Well, Spider, another day or two and we'll be done. Time for bed, Spider. Come on. I wonder if Mr. Daly will let me take you back to London with me. You'd like Stella. Don't think you'd like London. Good night, Spider. Good night. What is it, Spider? What is it, girl?
Gropes his way back to his bedroom and looks out. And there lie the marshes, silver, grey and empty. And there is the water of the estuary, flat as a mirror, with the full moon lying upturned upon it.
But nothing. No one, the slightest of breeze, there's nothing more.
And the next morning, he wakes to a change in the weather. And when he looks out, he can hardly see the division between land and water and sky. All is a uniform leaden grey with low, thick cloud and a drizzle.
I cycled back to Critton, Spider bounding behind me. There was a letter from Stella, full of exclamation of regret at my absence and pride in my responsibility. I asked the landlady to refill my hamper, and then, purchasing a good strong torch, cycled back, whistling as I went.
He works right through the day. And then, after supper, as a diversion, he begins to read some letters he has found.
They were dated February of about 60 years ago and summer of the following year. They were sent at first from a manor house some 10 miles from here, and then later from a lodge in Scotland. They were addressed to my dearest, or dearest Alice, and signed for the most part J, but occasionally Jeanette. The writer, apparently a relative of Mrs. Drablow's, was unmarried, with a child. At first she lived at home, but then she was sent away.
In Scotland, a child is born to her. And she writes of him with a desperate, clinging affection. Pressure is being put on her to give up the child for adoption, but she refuses, saying time after time after time again that they will never be parted.
He is mine. Why should I not have what is mine? He shall not go to strangers. I shall kill us both before I let him go.
And then the tone changes.
What else can I do? I am quite helpless. If you and Morgan are to have him, I shall mind it less. I suppose it must be.
But the last letter of all is written in a small, cramped hand.
Love him. Take care of him as your own. But he is mine. Mine, and can never be yours. Oh, forgive me. I think my heart will break. J.
And in the same packet, there is a simple document declaring that Nathaniel Pearson, the infant son of Jeanette Humphrey, is become by adoption the child of Morgan Thomas Grabrow of Eelmarsh House, Crithen Gifford, and of his wife, Alice.
Liz is spider. Stay with me, Spider. Stay with me, guy.
In despair and fearfulness, he goes about the house, switching off the many lights as he can make.
No one had been there. There was only one door into the room, and no one had come past me.
It is a child's nursery. A bed in one corner, complete and all made up, with pillow sheets and counterpanes. And beside it on the table, a tiny wooden horse and a nightlight. In the chest of drawers, there are clothes. Underclothes, day clothes, formal clothes, play clothes. Clothes for a little boy of 6 or 7. Beautiful, well-made clothes in the style of 60 years or more ago. And toys, most neatly and meticulously ordered and cared for. They had soldiers arranged in regiments. A farm set up with barns and fences. A model ship complete with moss and sails of linen. A whip, a spinning top, ludo, hammer, draughts and chess. A monkey made of leather, a cat of wool, a furry bear, and a bald dog with a china head and a sailor suit. Pens and brushes, inks and paints, a miniature trumpet, a painted musical box from Switzerland, and a black doll with raggedy arms and legs.
They must have been here half a century, but they could have been played with this afternoon. There was nothing here to frighten or harm me. It's only emptiness, a curious air of sadness, so that I myself felt a desolation, a grief in my own heart. How can I explain? I cannot. But I remember it as I felt it. Oh, the lights! Let it be morning. Let it be light. Who's that, Spider? Who was it, girl?
But before he can restrain her, she is off. It's all after her, running low and fast out of the house and away across the marshes.
Spider, come back! Spider, come back!
He stands amazed, bewildered, as Spider's small form recedes into the wide open expanse. And then he runs, as we've never run before. For she is floundering in mud, fighting to retain her balance, till it's home beneath her feet.
Spider!
She is. Then it's almost.
Spider, stay still, Spider! Still as you can, I'm coming, girl! I'm coming, hold on! Hold on, girl! Hold on! Hold on, girl! I'm coming! I'm coming! I'm coming! I'm coming! Try and stay still! Stay still as cat! Keep trying! Keep trying, good girl! Keep trying, good girl!
He feels his grip on the slippery wick first time he gave it. And then, in a huge last limit, he holds them back.
Spider! Spider, thank God! Thank...
Mr. Gibbs?
Father! No. It's all right. Just over there. I like to make use of it now and again. What did you think?
I saw others, another.
Oh, no. Not Keckwick. No. You take care now.
I'm all right. I'm better. Oh.
Come. I had you on my mind. It began to unsettle me. I was worried.
What time is it? I've become confused.
It's early enough. I kept waking, like I said. I had you on my mind.
How strange.
Was it? No, not as it seems to me.
No.
Not strange at all.
No.
Just as well I came when I did.
Yes, Mr. Daly, I'm more grateful I can say.
People drowned on that marsh before now.
Yes, I know that now. I felt as if I had been sucked down and Spider was... Spider!
No. She's all right. Just over there. It's all right. Now come now. When you've had a chance to recover yourself, you better get whatever you need and we'll be off.
Oh?
Aye. I came to see how you was getting on in this God-forsaken place, and I've seen. So now, you better come on with me and recover yourself.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll just gather my things. I will.
All right.
I won't be long.
Come on then, Arthur. Come. Yours. Come. Spider! Come here! Come on! Here you go! Come on! Good.
Nathaniel Drablow, aged 60. Cause of death? Drowning. Rose Judd, nursemaid. Cause of death? Drowning. Jeanette Eliza Humphrey, age 36, spinster, cause of death, heart failure.
Well, you've come a long way since the night I met you on late train.
Feels like 100 years ago.
You've gone through some rough seas.
Do you suppose that poor Mrs. Drablow had to endure being haunted night after night by that ghost of the woman in black?
Jeanette Humphrey. She was her sister.
And you suppose she had to endure night after night those dreadful noises? If such were the case, I don't know how she could have endured it without going mad.
Maybe she did not.
Maybe. Was there yet more to see? Had I stayed, would I have encountered yet more horror?
That I cannot say.
But you could say something. Come, we're a good deal away from the place. My nerves are quite steady. I must know! You can't hurt me now!
No, not you, maybe. Not you.
What are you holding back?
You, Arthur, will be away from here tomorrow or the next day. You, if you're lucky, will neither see nor hear or know of anything to do with that damned place again. The rest of us have to stay. We've to live with it.
Live with what? With what? The stories? With rumours?
Whatever will surely follow sometime or other. Now, Chris and Gifford has had to live with that for 50 years. And it's changed people. Well, they don't talk much of it. You found that out for yourself, haven't you? Those who have suffered the most, they say the least. Jerome. Keckwood.